want me to do? You just want me to hit you?
Come on, do me this one favor.
Why?
Why? I don't know why. I don't know. Never been in a fight. You?
No, but that's a good thing.
No, it is not. How much can you know about yourself? You've never been in a fight.
What's wrong? Get up!
I've been like this all day. Start asking the right fucking questions.
Come on, hit me before I lose my nerve.
God, this is crazy.
So go crazy. Let it rip.
Let it rip indeed. This is number 7 maybe of Good Company. I'm your host, Joe Catapano. Good Joe, as they sometimes call me. Today we've got an awesome guest. We haven't done this in a few weeks since the holidays. I was doing a lot of several things, 2 books, storyboards, you name it. I was been doing it. And so I haven't been able to get guests on as easy because of time constraints and scheduling. But we've got a good one for you today. An old bud that it's been on the channel before, I think. At least I've drawn his characters on my channel before. But yeah, we've talked before quite a bit on Twitter and you know, in the indie comic space. It's kind of small, so you get to know people pretty quickly if you're actually doing the work and you know, talking to people. So our guest today is Klaus. He's got definitely 2 books out. The third one, I don't know if it's printed yet, but we'll get into it and ask him and see where everything's going. But what's up, Vaughn?
Hey, man. It is good to see you again, Joe.
Yes, for sure. I know we've been on streams before, but I don't remember if we've been on my channel interviewing.
Yes, I remember our time together, Joe.
Yes, I guess I'm just
You
like an
bought
asshole.
me breakfast. No, I'm just kidding. You were a gentleman.
I know.
Now I'm
get
beginning
cigarettes.
to wonder. I'm beginning to wonder.
I know. I feel bad now that I've forgotten, but you know, hey, dude.
The video's
you know,
out there, people. I'm sure you
That's
can
right.
find it.
The credit.
It's discoverable. I had a good time on with our chat. I mean, I don't even remember what it was about, but we had a great
Me too.
Promise you.
You're a great conversationalist, I'd say, a socialite in some specs. And I like usually all the streams that you're on. And so, yeah, I imagine the one you're on together with me was fun.
Well, that's more than I do. I don't usually like all the streams I'm on, but I try.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, I just like your element because you're, man, I don't want to use like rough around the edges type of phrasing, but you know what I mean? Like you have an edge to you that a lot of guys out there, if you're going on a stream, sometimes they're too straight and narrow. Sometimes they're maybe more wacky, like Shane Davis or somebody. But you're like right in the middle where you're like got an edge to you, but kind of fun, but also like this mysterious type of, we don't know what you're about to be working on next kind of thing.
Neither do I, guys. That's how I keep you interested. I have I surf the creative world that I'm in.
Yeah.
And because art is expression and response, right? And you need to strike when the iron is hot, as they say. But I don't know if that metaphor fully works because I think surfing works better. I see the wave I want and I ride. And so I'll end up making things that I don't expect along the way. Like I have a new project with a whole new artist, a whole new team starting right now. The art is started. The script is phenomenal. And I didn't expect to work on this. It just kind of happened quick and fast and dirty. And I love it. And I'm running on my instincts. And we're making an awesome book. And that's just like another project like that might come along. They're all different. And I gravitate towards what I'm interested in. I just think that's what keeps you loving your work, keeps you focused on your goals, you know, and my goal is just to tell the best stories in the world and make comics cool again. Make them
Dude,
something people talk about again.
That's the edge I was talking about. Like making comics cool again is what I think the thing in quotations that I was trying to describe, just couldn't do it in the few words
There
you
it is.
did.
There it is, right?
That's
Remember
it.
when Walking Dead was in its prime at selling comics?
Christ.
Comic book stores were filled with everybody. Like girls
Yeah.
were in there buying the book. Like it was everyone was talking about the stories.
It was electric. That was the time when comic shops were like, "Oh, we're feeling confident. Let's add a bar. Let's put a bar. Let's put this other section. Let's buy this furniture store next door. We'll put something over there." You know,
Yeah.
they're feeling confident about it. That was the old days.
And now that section just holds a bunch of Funko Pops.
I know. They've got a warehouse they've converted it to. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Poor
a bummer.
comic shops. We if we can make exciting stories, they will have something to sell. People will show up. But
That is, generally, I think that, you make it and they will come type of thing. Yes.
yeah, but
It's
it's so hard to do. I get it. I know what I'm talking about is like, I don't know. It's remember when every time George Lucas and Spielberg did anything in the 80s, us kids were like, magic. It's magic. And then they would show like the kid on the bike fly about with E.T. up in the moon. And we were like, everything was fun and easygoing. Like, I want to bring that back with my work so bad, Joe. I want to bring the fun and the joy. And yet my work is so like humanity's horrible and gritty and everything's bloody and awful and like watch out.
Well, that contrast is necessary because you're getting that mix of like, man, this is an interesting dark world, but we're like, oh, so easygoing and so it's so easy to slip into that world that you forget the dangers. That's the best part of escapism. Like you don't have to deal with the real dangers, but you get to live in the world for a minute and experience the you get to experience the powers, the environment. You get to have that aesthetic for a minute.
These other flawed people that you can relate to going through these extraordinary circumstances is so fun to me because you're getting your humanity and your wisdom and like that nourishing part for your soul, but you're also getting this like fun entertainment and wonderful visuals that blow your mind. These exaggerated visuals. Comics are the best.
Absolutely.
They're the best.
I mean, dude, I think that's my favorite memories of reading old school comics that I recently, dude, here's how you know you're a comic fan. I got a long box, just the box. I got a long box for Christmas, just the box. And like my relatives are like, you wanted a box, you wanted cardboard. That's interesting. You're like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I wanted. But yeah, that's how you know you're like, I got enough where I need another box. But
there's a lot of love in comics, and it's like we live in this weird era because of the internet and social media where we can spread that love for comics more than ever, but we can spread a lot of hatred within that too. And so it's just like consequences of the awesomeness of the internet, right? Like you and I get to have this conversation because of the internet. Like it's awesome. We get to reach out to our fans and make this awesome stuff happen because of the internet and raise campaigns because of the internet. But there's always the price. And if there's one thing about my work, you will notice there's always a cost to things too, and that's just the world. It sucks that it's like that, but the price is also that there's going to be a lot of like drama and nastiness and weirdos who come in to exploit the movement, all kinds of crazy things. And like right now with the temperature turned up on society, guys, it's like everyone is fighting each other as the ship goes down or something. And I just got to say, like, it's cool. Don't worry. Like, take a breath. It's a storm and storms pass. Let me look out my window. Oh, God. It's snowing. Yep, there's a storm. And no, it looks beautiful. I really love this. This is the first big snow we've had.
Oh, so you're talking about real. You got real snow right now.
I've got
That's
real
awesome.
snow right now, guys. I'm not just being a cool metaphoric weirdo right now, I promise, even though I am most of the time that guy, for sure. But no, but for real, we're going to get through the storm. I want everyone to realize that. Let's laugh a little more and like and have a good time and make comics more interesting again, because like I'm not interested in like YouTubers. They're not interesting to me.
Same.
Same. They're not. They're boring. I like artists. And I like good artists who are standing side to side with me to create the next awesome thing in comics that makes them cool again in America. Japan's whooping us at making cool stuff. Their stuff is so cool. And I'm here to make my stuff so damn cool no one can even deny me, man. And I don't need YouTubers for that. Like
for sure.
I can do it. I can do it. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm on board there too. I think if you're anywhere near a creator headspace, I think all of us agree that putting your creation above the whole marketing YouTube sector of whatever you're doing is probably more important. Actually, definitely more important, and it comes secondary. YouTube to me it's way easier to make a YouTube channel to me than actually make some good comics, make some good stories. Like it's insanely easier. Like there's so much you have to do and learn to create a story. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's not craftsmanship. YouTube is different, and it's not that they don't work their asses off.
Oh, they do.
Like
yeah.
I have nothing but respect for them because actually they do things I can't do, and I respect. I could
Absolutely.
focus on it and get really into it, and I could be like Mr. YouTube's. But guess
Yeah.
what? I
Not
just
going
end up
that
making
route.
another comic book. Like I just end up making another story. I'm ADD. I'm too ADD.
I'm kinda-
I should be out there on YouTube more, but.
I was gonna say I'm blending the lines. My channel's kind of doing well, and I'm like you said, riding the wave. I'm riding a little bit of that YouTube wave. So I'm gonna see I'm just gonna take where the opportunity goes because I think I can use it. I can utilize it for good. The good of comics, and so any of that's great. What I want to do, dude, is this little interview thing that I do called Good Company, guys. I try to bring. I don't know. I try to bring this. The problem, let's start with this. The problem with stories a lot of times is that the author has not really lived life. If all you have done is watch whatever crappy TV and lived in your room all of your life, then you don't have anything to kind of spring on for your stories. You have nothing to like bounce off of and inspire. What I like to talk about is like the stuff outside of the creation a little bit. And in the beginning, this is why I put this intro of this whole fight sequence of, do you really know somebody do you really know yourself if you've never gotten in a fight? And I think that's why I like that, because it's in my brain, it just spawns those type of questions. Like, Vaughn, have you ever been in a fight? Is that something that have you ever experienced? Is that something you really gotten into?
Yeah.
Have you ever lost a fight?
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Okay.
Okay. So my first real fight was like the first time I ever stepped on a school bus ever. And I was walking down the aisle for the first time, that big moment in all our lives that I guess a lot of us have had. And there were these older bullies that were attacking these kids. And I just instinctively grabbed one and I pinned him down. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? And he freaked out. And then it was a fight. And then, he kind of lost. And then they never bullied anyone again. They never messed with anyone again. And then after that, my life was a series of I've never been in a good one-on-one, like, throwdown fight. After that, my life was a series of, like, a guy hates me and he and his, like, 10 friends are going to attack me at the same time. And it was just, like, an ongoing thing throughout my life to where, like, even in my mid-20s, that shit was going down. And
yeah, that sounds very Karate Kid right there.
Yeah.
It's like
I didn't
whole crew.
I didn't find a mystic handyman to teach me the art of kicking people in the face illegally to win the tournament. But I did learn how to be a good artist and I knew how to, like, take on bullies. I'm sick of them. Like, I can't stand them. I ended up becoming a bouncer, and, like, as a bouncer, you have to do. Yeah, I had some fights. I had a fight where I was hurting the guy, and then a hand grabbed me, and it was Chicago police, and so that one ended pretty quick.
Yeah, I figure that's part of the job. Yeah. I feel like the cops first bouncing is the whole point is to kind of avoid the fight, but also you're like a wrangler, a people wrangler. I imagine.
I had a high school bully who was like straight out of like a Christmas Story with like the coming around the corner with the grin and like and laughing and shit.
Yeah.
And but he was like but you like take the Christmas Story bully and you make him like a redneck on meth with like a crew of like other methed out weirdo creatures of the night, and like you get his little gang, and his gang was infamous driving around in their little shitty like Suzuki or whatever, and like jumping out of it and beating the hell out of people, and then running away. Getting in and speeding off, and they finally got me and my buddy during lunch, and it was about, I think they said it was about like 10 different. Oh no, they said it was about 20 different people attacked us at once.
Really?
And it's something else, man. It's something else. I mean, what I did in those situations, I stood up. When my friend got attacked, I stood up and the fight began. I hurt one person pretty bad. There was blood, but that's all I saw before I was on the ground, and they were like 50 feet, like just
Jesus
railing me, man. And they got me, they kicked the hell out of me. And
stomped you.
It's not the fight. It tells you a lot about yourself. Like, what were you fighting over? What were you fighting for? And like, what did you achieve? And did you really stand up and like, defend yourself?
Mm-hmm.
But it also getting the shit kicked out of you. It really that's life. Like that's a lesson that I think a lot of us get, and it makes you realize that people are base. Dude, like we're fucked up, and like the grins on the kids' faces by the time I got up off the pavement from like 50 different feet coming down on me, they were all gone. I didn't see anyone, and the faces in the crowd, the grins, man, the joy, the utter delight, man, at that type of violence, it gives you a perspective on humanity, right? How we roll.
Yeah.
How we roll. Okay.
So as you're giving the spiel, I noticed two things. One, I hadn't addressed the chat, which I think I think I fixed this as you were giving a spiel. For some reason, they unchecked stereo audio in my settings, and so it should be fixed. I noticed. I'm listening to your story. I was like, it is only coming in one ear.
Oh.
For some reason.
Okay. Is everything
I feel like we hear you good. I think.
Okay.
I checked the stereo, so it should be fixed, hopefully. But either way, thanks for letting us know, Cool Saw. Thanks for being here. We also have Zaid's here, rooming for me, and Bionic Bros here. What's up, dude?
Got our coats on.
Absolutely, dude. I went to go play with the dog for a second outside, and I'm in Florida, and it's still 50. You're like, okay, it's a different
It's coat inside time.
Yeah, coat inside time. Plus, jean jacket. Can't go wrong. Figured I'd wear it.
Nice.
So, dude, the fight. The cool part about fighting is like it's the key thing that it's what makes stories. A lot of stories are based around a conflict, a physical conflict, because one, it's the dramatization of whatever argument or whatever value difference you have with your cast of characters. And it's cool to talk about real fights because the world is messy, and it's also just like you talked about, the people watching a fight is just interesting in its own right, where these people like the people that'll sit there and actually watch are a different type of person than someone else that like don't want to be a part of the conflict or anywhere near it.
It was a weird time because the whole story behind it was I could tell this hilarious story about getting into a fight in a parking lot after going to see the movie Speed. That'll date me.
Yeah.
I could, but like I don't want to like go over in all these details. I just want to say like the lesson I ended up learning from this whole experience was one of the kids out of this little gang of hobgoblins, all right, had a mom that was a teacher, and she used her political clout to give them a lesser punishment for what they did.
Oh. That sounds really sounds really close to home to like a lot of different real worlds. Yeah.
It showed me that our systems are corrupt and that people will abuse it to get away with horrible shit. And that's why they were out in the parking lot every day after school laughing and pointing and stuff, because it was like, we got away with it. You know what I mean? Like, we got away with it.
Absolutely.
So that tends to leave a mark on somebody, but you learn a valuable lesson early, man. Like, definitely.
Yeah, you're like I've had a few myself, but I try to not talk about them. One, because I just feel like sometime later in a stream I'll be really floundering and I don't know what to say, and I'll have to use it as a clutch moment. Let me just talk about this fight story real quick. So I'm holding on to my fight stories for the clutch moment. All
right.
As I do for most guests that come on, I have like a sheet of paper that the minute I know they're going to come on eventually, I start writing questions. I'm like, all right, I've seen him do this. I got a question about it. Seen him do this. Got a question about it. And looking at my scribbles as I do, and one of my things. Did you ever go to film school? Is that something I heard on a podcast at some point?
I went to Columbia College Chicago for screenwriting and directing.
Cool. So while you're there, I imagine you made a student film or two, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that your first? Because all of us artsy type of people, we all have. Some of us start with music. Some of us start with like production. Some of us do other things. But is this your first endeavor into like, let me just create something a little bit more seriously and go to school for it?
Yeah. I mean, before I went to Columbia, I had gone to University of Tulsa for graphic design. So I
that
was
would be the
pursuing
first, really.
my first, like, let's get serious about art. The problem was I was always just drawing comics and loving comics more. I should have been, like, begging my parents to send me to, in a comic school.
Qbert or something.
That would be, yes, that would have been perfect for me.
Yeah.
So that was my first foray into art. But even before Tulsa, I was in pre-med. I was going to do the doctor thing and become a forensic pathologist. So then, I was like, no, take art seriously. You're designing T-shirts and posters for all the campus organizations, dude. You should do graphic design and become, make a lot of money, have a stable job, have a nice, But like, the surfer in me just wants to draw comics and tell stories and have fun. And yeah,
and it's hard to tell people advice like that. You're saying like some people are going to give you that advice, that conservative advice, like you're going to probably be maybe overall in general maybe happier with going the conservative route, but that doesn't apply to like the surfers, like you're talking about, like these people that are living on the fringe a little bit more, want the edge of
it's the sacrifice we make to create the level we want, the greatness we want, to have the freedom we want, to tell the stories we want that we think are important, to do the important work. Mm-hmm. You have to sacrifice.
Absolutely.
There's no free ride to get to that extra special book or story that you're chasing. As a creator, I'm always chasing the next great story dragon. I really am. And
dude, I literally wrote that down. So like it's under this theme of like, so a lot of your books are haunted-ish type of horror mixings of like, they usually have some horror type of aesthetic, at least like some sort of backdrop of not horror necessarily, but old school, either monstery stuff or zombie stuff, or like things that have this aesthetic. And I feel like I wrote down what dragons in that realm are you really chasing? Like what about that genre and backdrop? Like what are you chasing in there? Like what's so compelling about continually going back to that kind of backdrop?
Horror is always fun. Horror is how I see the world. It's not even a backdrop. It's more of like it's like looking through a kaleidoscope, and all the little pieces in it are all the horror movies and all the things I grew up loving. And I don't know, from an early age, my mom taught me that about the supernatural and the horrors of the world. She also taught me to be very cynical and critical of whether or not it's real, which is really weird. To like get kids into ghosts and hauntings and then tell them that it's all bullshit is quite a move, Mom.
It's a big bait and switch, dude.
but it's also her not wanting me to be scared in the night of ghosts, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, but I was introduced to a world that was haunted and weird early on. When I swear to God, I must have been in first grade. Okay, you were a tender morsel of a person in first grade. They turn off all the lights in my school and they play this recording over the Intercom thing, the old weird, gritty,
Right.
grimy Saw movie Intercom.
Disgusting
and it's
intercom, yeah.
and some old lady is reading a story called The Bell Witch. Do you know the story of the Bell Witch?
I don't. Not heard the story of the Bell Witch.
It's an American legend, and it is the first documented in like criminal history case of a ghost having murdered somebody. Okay.
Really?
Yes.
What year? What yearish or decade?
18 or 1700s.
1700s.
Because I think Andrew Jackson visited their like home in Adams, Tennessee or whatever, and then like he tried to leave and his carriage wouldn't move suddenly, and he was like, that Don Bell Witch is holding my carriage, and like then finally like they let it go and he left, and he's like, I shall never go back there again, you know. So like there's all these crazy stories around it, but the story of the Bell Witch is very creepy. It's horrific. This old lady reads it and then does all these witch cackles. And it was scary. And, like, the world to me, I mean, it was a world where I loved Halloween more than anything. And at the same time, like, I don't know, I was being introduced to all these horrific things. But as a kid, you start to associate them more with fun. You associate them more with, like having a damn good time. I mean, good horror movies is fun. So that's just how I was raised, I guess, you know. 80s horror was a thing, and I was a kid, and VHS became a thing, and that tends to shape, I think, a lot of people who grew up in my era.
Absolutely.
So
I feel it because my mom was a similar fan of horror stuff, except I don't have the composition for it. I don't think like I have like, you know, Poltergeist, like, is still somehow in my subconscious somehow. I don't know why, but it just is there. Just some of the like images just are there. And I think maybe that's just what happens when you have that first experience when you're young enough. Anyway, I think it is a magical kind of, I call it a backdrop because I feel like even if you did like a Romeo and Juliet type of story where it's mostly about romance, they would still be in like a Dracula's, you know, castle type of thing.
It'd be about death. That his story is about death, but like, I would do, you're right. I would make it, I would goth it up. I goth everything up because that's what I like. But, you're talking to a guy who like grew up reading like The Crow. So like J.O. Barr. And then I really love like Todd McFarlane doing Spider-Man, and he made Spider-Man, like he added a lot of horror to it.
That is the vibe. Even in the art, it does feel like what am I looking at? This is not the same. Yeah. And I loved, it's like these had to have been these are big influences on me, you know? So so what would be the, like, just not to swing back to the question, but like, what would you think, can you boil down what the end goal dragon, the big dragon you're chasing there, like what would fulfill your creative hunger by doing, like what kind of story, like what's on your bucket list of things?
Some of the that's a good question. I'm doing a story about a villain who wants to quit because he fell in love and he just wants to be a normal guy like you and me. And he turns himself into the Super Justice League Hall of Heroes, whatever the hell, and to get chipped and like live his normal life. And then a corrupt hero blackmails him, kidnaps his love, and forces him to form a supervillain team because he wants to bring them all down at once. And this hero is going nuts and losing his mind and thinking about finally just killing someone. He's like you know what I mean? You imagine like Superman, but he hasn't killed someone yet, but he really wants to. And he's getting more and more like close to it every day, and it's getting scary. That's going on, and I'm doing that story now. Like and other bucket list stories. I'd love to do a little more post-apocalyptic-y stuff with some crazy mutants and stuff. I have this idea for a story during COVID. That's you know how everything had to get delivered, and like we were like overdoing Grubhub and everything became delivery for a while. Like a story where it's like a post-apocalyptic wasteland of mutants, but the rich people live in these like super protected fortresses in the middle of nowhere, and have to get new organs delivered so they can live forever. So these people have to get in these trucks and brave the wastelands of creatures and horrible terrain and just evils just to get these like rich weirdos like a new liver or kidney or whatever. and so they keep living. And it's like, yeah, but it's like Grubhub for kidneys. So like, yeah, I just thought it'd be really funny. And yeah, it's really violent. They go on a crazy adventure just to hand it over to some douche later, But I just thought that'd be really fun. I've never made that. That would be cool. And kind of Mad Maxy meets Fist of the North Star,
I one of the first projects I half worked on, this guy was a similar type of thing. What reminded me of was like the origins of the post office. Like, this is when the post office was cool. You know what I mean? This is when you're like, okay, we're going to deliver you. I'm going to risk my life to deliver this letter. You know what I mean? Today it's like, you can be fat and whatever. No, you're like, probably then you had to be like fit as hell, like ready to actually take on the snow, like you actually have to be the coolest motherfucker to like actually be a post office worker in the beginning.
Yeah. Survivalist.
Yeah. So that's what I thought of when you said that. I was like, this guy's got to be pretty awesome in the Mad Max sense, I guess.
It was a team. I was working on this crazy team of badasses.
Yeah, dude.
It's all fun. It's pursuing, but in the end, some projects many projects are in a folder, right? Like germinating or waiting for the right moment or they might not keep my interest. And I'll like gravitate towards something else, and I'll surf that wave instead. So it's the way it goes. Or you might cannibalize them a bit. It's just great to create and have it in a folder. It's whether you use it or not, it's not important. Express yourself with it. It's going to help you mentally somehow. I think you get something out of it.
Right.
And if you do it for you, audiences will follow. They'll like it too.
I definitely feel that. I think a lot of creators, even if this is something that most people will relate to, because even if you haven't made the book yet or made the thing you want to make and you're kind of pushing it off, you're procrastinating maybe, all of those people still probably have a little bit of a folder of things like, these are all the things I'd like to do and maybe I don't have the confidence for yet. But even the guys that do make stuff on a consistent basis, like you putting out stuff, we all have these folders. I got a bunch of sci-fi stories that I'll probably are dumb and maybe will be used. But I think
like going to the gym. It's like the gym of creativity for us, though.
Right. It's the backlog. Yeah, it's like this like ever filling folder of nonsense that might become something. Right. At least that's how it is for me. Like my folder is just like retarded. It's like
whatever. I don't care what language, if it's retarded or not. Whatever language you need to get it done, you do that. Like that's how artists are supposed to work. Whatever you need, you know what I mean? Of course, it's going to look ridiculous to someone else, man. That's your brain working in mysterious ways. Like you're doing other things. That's not normal. Like it shouldn't be normal. If it was normal, I would be really worried about you.
Yeah, you're really creeping me out. You're like a sociopath or something.
Yeah, yeah. Where's your soul? You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking about, because I'm this type of person. Well, not this type, but we are both people that. You started probably, you said graphic design, and I know you were an artist and still draw. I saw you drawing the Rerun Man, I think, recently.
Another thing for my bucket list, yes. Rerun
yes. Man. So I know you're an artist in that way, and you kind of converted maybe to more full-time writing. Is that how you would describe it? Maybe I'm on the mark, maybe I'm off. Like you're more full-time writer these days, right?
I've been mostly a writer over the years and not done my art enough and like let my art be the back thing. Like it feels stupid that I would do that because every time I do art, I feel so good. Except for the creak in my neck I get later. But other than that, like it feels so good. It feels so right to do it. It feels like it's something I should be doing. So God, I got to do it. So yeah, I've been a writer and just doing like, when I was in film school, I was the screenplay guy. That was what I focused on. I wanted to become better at story. I wanted to be able to write this stuff and make it good. So I guess I'm a full-time writer. who wants to draw his own book now.
Right.
Just do it. Get it over with.
It's interesting because, yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I was like, man, that transition from anybody transitioning within like different parts of the pipeline, if you will, if you're a letterer and you want to start drawing, or you're whatever, an artist that wants to go writing, or the opposite, vice versa. I don't know, always like, to me, if a long enough time span passes, it almost feels like another lifetime, like your old ex-girlfriends or something. Like that's what it kind of feels like for me. I get it, like the times where I didn't really try to write, or I didn't get into writing, it almost feels like this other lifetime where like I was a different person then or something. So I thought of like Roald Dahl, like he was like a spy first, and then he became a children's writer. Like it almost probably is like two completely different lifetimes in certain people's minds. And I was wondering if it feels like that for you. Like, do you remember the times where you weren't really maybe in film school when you weren't really doing a lot of just writing, or you said you were screenwriting, but do you have any of those feelings where you're like, it feels like a different lifetime as a creator?
I have more lifetimes than I can count.
You're a cat.
My life changes so much. It's like seasons changing, man. It's like inevitable. I spent my life, Joe, trying to not be a comic book artist, which is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I should have embraced it earlier, and because I was good at it. I was doing cool things back in the 90s. And I pushed off my art for all this other stuff over the years. And I got to be honest, I'm kind of glad I did, because I still kind of kept up with art a little. I can draw some cool stuff here and there. I'm all right, and I'm pleased with what I do. But and I can design like a MFer because I took time off from all that stuff, and I can't change it. So I'm not going to cry about it or worry about it or regret it. No regrets. I just want to make stuff my own way now, and I think I'm better than I've ever been. So yeah, it's like, let's do it. Like, let's draw our own thing.
Dude, I'm excited for all of what you're talking about, because it alludes to the future of what you're, maybe drawing more of your stuff. But yeah, like you just said, man, I am a believer that even you found like your roundabout way to doing it full time, and found your roundabout way to doing like what you really want to do. I think it all adds to it. Just like a lot of people do say that, like I spent a lot of time partying in college, that like it was a complete waste of time, but that's influencing everything I do. Like there's like not everything obviously, but it influences some of the things that it's life. It's part of life. And now it flavors some of the aspects. The thing about going out and wasting time drinking, you get to see people in their element. You get to like, you kind of get to know like what people are really like, because alcohol tends to be a truth serum, and they just either it amplifies just like the anger or the destitute, or like the happiness, or the happy-go-lucky kind of feelings. But anyway, that's kind of what I was alluding to. Like whatever you did in the past, and you really didn't end up going the right way to comics in the straight and narrow, maybe you end up actually, I don't know, pulling from those side experiences,
Well, I was living all those other lives trying to be someone else, and it wasn't who I was supposed to be. I'm not a bouncer, but I've been a bouncer. I had to be. I'm not. Almost all my life was about doing my artwork and just like, trying to build something of myself, while also trying to have like find the love of my life, find a great lady to settle down with. But like once I gave up on that part, it's been a little bit easier to focus on work.
Yeah, well, a lot of times you focus on the work, and the lady finds you sometimes.
Yeah, I don't worry about it. Especially right now, like I don't want to date. That's fucking no way. No.
Yeah, especially not now. Please.
I'm taking a break until like things get normal again, guys. Like I said, it's a storm. We got to wait it out. And dating's part of it, okay? Like it's gotten too weird. You're all too weird and my anxiety and my depression. I don't care. Fuck you. It's like a Girl Scout badge. Like here's my badge for depression.
Yeah.
My anxiety badge. Here's my daddy issues badge, and here's my I'm just dating you to get back at my ex badge. And
Yeah, daddy issues bad. Yeah, dude, I wish they wore a sash with all that. It would make it easy to date. Dude. Like, all right, let me see your merit badges, bro or girl, and or bro if you're in that, but
bro or gal, whatever.
Yeah, whatever
Wear your
you want.
merit badges to every date now.
I know. Let's see your credits.
I'm about merit. I can't do it right now, but once times get better, it'll be fun. It'll be fun again. I have an optimistic view because I don't know why. Maybe it's because what I'm doing is going to require a future. We need a future, and I want to be optimistic about that. So I have a lot of books to do.
Without the indie space, without you and the indie space, I would not be so optimistic. Like people like you reading Monster MD and Terror in the Trenches, which is your shipped books. They're great. Like I really enjoy them. And that's everybody knows that like not every indie book you get is going to be either a good read or sometimes you just stop halfway and never get back to them. Sometimes you get through the first 3 pages and you're like, I see what they're doing. Let's see maybe the next couple books, it'll be more time in the oven and like everything will work out a little bit more smoothly. Because the way stories work is that if you don't have it nice and streamlined and polished enough for the reader, it's a lot of work. You don't want the reader to go through this work. And I feel like your books, there's no work. It's just get in, feel it, and love it. Good. Yeah. So, dude, you're an example of like I said, the optimistic future for indie comics, which I'll be the guy and say thank you. You're helping us all out.
Well, thank you, Joe. You're helping me out. And all you fans, thank you. You're helping me out. Without you guys, I don't do this. Like, without you guys, this isn't happening. And without you guys, I'm not happy. I'm not getting to do what I love and share some joy and make awesome new stories that make America look cool. I'm tired of being embarrassed of the American.
I thought you were like, I'm tired of being a bitch. I need to like show my balls and
Well, I mean, I do feel like American comics are kind of a bit of a bitch right now, and we do need to get our balls back.
Absolutely.
That's why we make these comics, my friends.
Yeah. So I pull up your website because, again, guys, this channel, this Good Joe channel, is growing. It is growing immensely. It looks like a rocket ship on my end. So we got a lot of new people that have only seen my tutorials and seen some of my opinions on art and stuff. But if you've not seen this indie creator, Von Klaus here, he's got books that anybody probably will love. I would say you've created books that have an edge, but really, I don't think anybody, it's like one of those things where like, who's not going to love a story of either redemption or revenge? Everybody has these feelings these primal feelings. And I think that's what you're creating with your books here.
Well, I think you nailed it. I mean, the word primal is definitely part of it. It's about our flaws and about how there's always, but I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, fun and optimism that shows that it's like, who cares that we're flawed? It's part of the fun. It's part of life. It's part of, but like that, I'm kind of figuring it out too, guys. Like, I think my messaging is coming out naturally. I don't force it or like plan it out. I just kind of let it naturally come out. And I'm noticing a trend when I look back on my work, like things have a cost, we're all flawed and have our darkness, and we have to deal with that darkness. Like, these are cool, universal themes and ideas that I think people can like dig and get into. Revenge is great too. Who doesn't love that? I mean, it's a nice, simple thing.
Yeah, I think the simpler the better. And I think that's what you're good at. All that screenwriting practice has come through because you've cut a lot of the fat out of your scripts, and like it's there. And I have trouble with this. Because I'm a newbie-ish writer, and most times it just means if something's not really feeling great, it means I just haven't edited enough. I didn't pull out the essence,
right.
Maybe whole scenes need to be pulled or something like that. But
right.
That's how it goes.
Kill your darlings, they call that. Killing your darlings. There might even be a scene you really like that you're just like, it's too much fat. I did that recently with a new script. It never ends, Joe. I'm telling you. Like, especially in comics. Comics, I think the more I polish them, the more I notice I remove more than I add. And that, I think, is how you get to a good comic. When I look back at Monster MD, I would remove and like polish it even further today, right? I look at it and I'm like, like, you know, I would take that out. I'd take that out. But like my comics now, as I've gotten better and better, I mean, the art of good, pithy storytelling, I mean, it's a constant struggle. And when you do it right, it is so great and fun and has such great one-liners and like great moments that like hit, you know? So it's an ongoing fight to like find that pithiness, that perfect simplicity that works perfectly, that also is like within character. It's a balancing act in a way, but once you nail it, like, oh, it's such a great reading experience for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's like when you refine and work on it for a long time, you can start telling, you're like, man, there's no fat here. There's no reason why you should look away. Like it all's there for you, clean and ready to go. I want to ask you, as we're talking, you're looking through your work. I wanted to see, like, do you have maybe a hidden gem, like movie or YouTube channel or something? What's a movie or like YouTube video or something that you really like, but nobody really knows about, like a really hidden gem? Do you have any of those? Do you have one that's like, this is something that more people should love, I wish more people knew about it, but like it'll never be popular because it's just too niche or something? Or maybe it really should be popular, it just doesn't have enough eyes on it yet. Maybe you can think on that as we look through your website, because I always like asking that one.
There's definitely movies and video games even that are so awesome that people like totally missed out on. Yeah. I mean, have you ever heard of The Blood of Heroes with Rutger Hauer?
No, actually.
Haven't.
No.
So do you know the movie Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood?
Yes.
All right. So the screenwriter from that, who also I think worked on Blade Runner, was one of the writers on that.
Okay.
He did his own movie where he got to direct a post-apocalyptic movie with Rutger Hauer called The Blood of Heroes.
I obviously know the actor. Yeah.
So I recommend that as a hidden gem.
Okay. Put in my notes.
I love it. I don't know if people will like it. I don't care. I love it. It's a bizarre post-apocalyptic movie where the sport is played, where the objective is to put a dog skull on a spike. And
can you pitch it for a second? I'm going to let my dog out. Can you pitch that for a second?
Okay, I won't talk about the dog skull too loudly when your dog's for to scare your puppy. We'll be nice. Okay. So, okay, everybody, Blood of Heroes, Rutger Hauer, and Joan Chen, one of the most beautiful Asian women you're ever going to see in your life, are dealing with this horrific, irradiated nuclear wasteland where they play on a team that goes from town to town and tries to win in a game. Okay? They're called Juggers for whatever reason. That kind of sounds like Juggernaut. They're badasses. They play the most violent, evil game ever. And the game is played by people in real life to this day, which is crazy. And you can look that up on YouTube and dive into that for a bit if you want, which is interesting. There's whole tournaments for it. But, they play this game, and they go to the city underground with the elites and want to play against the league and take on the big shots and show that they got what it takes. It also has Vincent D'Onofrio. So,
dude, I was listening the whole time. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's rugged. It's beat up. The movie's grimy and awesome. The game itself is awesome and violent and crazy. I don't know. It's also like kind of got a late night like Cinemax late night like HBO feel, like, or like you're in a motel and you need something to watch and it's just like that's all that's on and you're like, this is kind of badass, you know?
Yeah, it's like one of those. Dude, I feel like that with a lot of like 80s anime. You're like, man, some of these, this is like so awkward dialogue. Maybe the dub is really bad, but you're like, man, this is like the best animation I've ever seen. So I'm gonna watch this.
My favorite for that is Cyber City Oedo. Have you ever watched
It's up, yeah, dude. That English dub is.
I love it. I love it, but it's like bad. But it's
but it's
great, and I love it. but it's not a great, you know what I mean? But it's not some great dub.
Oh yeah, it's not a great dub.
It's a fabulous animation, though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, great. There's tons of those. Just like, man, this is like insanely bad, but good bad. And I'm gonna watch, even if it's that, I'm gonna watch it for the animation at least.
So good.
Absolutely, yeah. So at least we got one of those. I wrote that down. I wanted to like get some. I usually like stealing from people that come on the channel. If it's there's hidden gems or like maybe some of their. Yeah. You never know when somebody, even Bancroft came on. He gave a nice hidden gem of just his working process. I stole a piece of how he his workflow.
Cool.
You would never think Bancroft had something.
What do you do?
Well, he kind of works subject by subject on his pages. So like if he draws to a double page spread or the next 3 pages, he'll just draw the hands and do all the hands. Like just do the subject by subject instead of panel by panel.
Oh, he gives his brain like a focus.
Yeah, like he says by the time you're done with the third hand, like you're drawing them quick. You're really feeling the anatomy, like you're.
Yeah.
And so,
nice.
Yeah, I didn't think I would get that from Bancroft, but glad he gave it. Now everybody knows that
awesome.
Sweet knowledge.
Yeah, I like it.
So some people have called you a based creator.
Really?
Well, I know. Yeah, I've heard that term.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I think that just to me that means that like you tell it how it is. Like you don't have this. You don't put on airs of political correctness, and you don't pretend that like things are better than they are or worse than they are or pretentious in any way. That's how I read it. But yeah, with your books, do you find that like when you write like I don't know, how do you write? Like are you basing it on a lot of like reading that you've done or just experiences, or do you write moment by moment, like scene by scene, like this is a cool scene, let's put that with another cool scene?
Definitely there's in the early processes there's a bullet point list of just nonsense that is just it's like ingredients you're gathering for a great meal. And like there's definitely random ideas for scenes because when I'm creating, I swear I could hear the characters and I hear them say things. So I might not even write a scene. It'll be like bullet point and then like a cool one-liner. Like that's it. And then like that one-liner's like a piece of data or ingredient I get to put in the script later once the script begins, right?
Right.
So you can see I'm gathering ingredients and I immediately make a folder too. And I'm putting in all the inspirational images too. So I'm visual. I'm a highly visual person.
Mm-hmm.
And,
me too, obviously. Yeah.
Obviously, we got it. We got it going on in the visual department. So I've got all that filling up, and then at the same time, I will sometimes, or almost every time, especially if I like the idea enough, I'll make a logo really quick. Not really quick, actually. It depends on what the logo is. I'll wrestle with them sometimes to get the right one. Mm-hmm. But at least a starter logo that might change later, as I refine the book, because it's all about refinement. That's why they call it craft, right? Because we grind a page out with sketch, then pencil, then ink, then color. It's grinded out, and then you edit it. Then you take out what's not needed. It's this constant grinding, and so yeah, for me, it's like with that logo, I now have this weird goal. To achieve, to see that logo on a book cover and see a book printed in someone's hands. So,
dude, I like that approach because it sets you up for like visualization. Now you can't help but visualize it at that point. Like I can see it almost. I can almost feel it. Right. That some Prime calls it pulp. And yeah, that's kind of how I would view it. These days, even when I'm drawing, man, when I do scenes, I don't put them in pages anymore. I just do them I organize it by character. Like, here's all this character's scenes, here's all this character's scenes, and all the pages for them. And then I just mix and match. I'm like, now I don't have to worry about numbers. I just, it's better if it goes here, better if it goes here.
Right.
So
it's whatever gets it done for you, But yeah. My whole thing is about how do I get it done and be as true to these characters as possible and make them as interesting as possible, because what I like to do is set myself up to not have to have everything hardcore. Don't get me wrong, I'm very structured. I'm very 3-act structure. And I nailed my structure's awesome. Like, it's badass. Once you learn how to use it well, it's actually really badass. But I do allow myself as I write to let the characters do what they do, and it ends up making cool, crazy things happen sometimes. Even Tarantino recently said that he writes a screenplay he plans a screenplay only halfway through, and then the other half he lets the characters take over, which
He has said that, yes.
Crazy to me.
I
was like whoa, but okay.
Yeah, that's out there because it's like living on the edge. It's like you doing improv almost in book form.
I mean,
almost.
or it's you're trusting your characters so much, and that you know your characters so much that you can let them do this, that it will remain true to the story. You know what I mean? But you're right. It's like going without rails. You are without rails for sure.
That's it. You're like, taking out the bumpers. Let's see if you can pull off this. I feel like Tarantino, that advice works. I think it works best for experienced writers, obviously, because if you don't know what you're doing, like, you can't let like shallow and really fleshed out characters run the show, because they obviously don't have they're not real things yet. They're cardboard cutouts, and they're not going to interact in like a real way. But I understand how that goes. All I do is over penetrate. I gotta buy your books, Vaughn. I also grabbed a copy of Star Story. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Speaking of your other book.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
You can keep talking. I was just going to bring this up. Yeah.
I was going to give one quick tip when it comes to that stuff. I don't recommend doing it the Tarantino way. Like you said, I agree. A more experienced writer definitely can roll that way. But it's one tip I can give is know what your ending is. Figure out a really awesome killer ending, and you will be amazed at how it will shape the way you write everything before it. You will be able to plan foreshadowing, even with like cool little subtle visuals or like cool little lines people say that all lead up to this ending. The ending, it's almost like cheating. I swear to God, try it sometime. You might have fun.
And especially if you're doing it's almost triple fold if you're doing like a whodunit type of story, or like a heist type of thing, or a mystery, because you need to know how it ends, and then you just do this magic trick of all the answers, and now you just have to set up the next thing. It's kind of like that old Pixar advice where, or even the South Park guys bring this up too, where like every time you write a scene, you're like, this happens, and then therefore this happens, and then therefore, if you're writing the ending, it's almost the opposite, whatever that would be. Like, this happens, and so in order for that to happen, this would have to happen. In order for that to happen, this would have to happen, and write it backwards. That's incredible.
The way if you can make every scene have a small conflict within the greater conflicts, you keep that interest. You keep it creates dimension for viewers, I think, because the external conflict can't be all that's going on. We all naturally, our brains crave that connection with the internal conflict of these heroes, what they're going through inside, their flaws, their whatever their internal struggle is, usually can mirror the external struggle in a cool way, and you get a great story too.
Oh, sorry.
So no worries. I've got one of those dogs that does that too sometimes.
Yeah, man. He hears.
Okay, so this is Kataru Witch Hunter, everybody. Who let the dogs out? Okay. Well, I'll howl on my end instead, okay?
Yeah, he's barking up a storm over here. Maybe you can talk about your book, and I'll get him figured out.
Sure, buddy. No
right.
problems. I've definitely got the same type of pooch at home. I've got an awesome blue heeler, Spike, and he barks loud for a medium-sized dog. But anyway, this is Kataru Witch Hunter, guys. This is the story of a rogue witch hunter of the land who solves mysteries, solves murders, but most of all, he snakes out witches and executes them in the name of the Shogun. Except he kind of doesn't, because he's kind of a rogue on his own, just kind of vagabond, wandering from town to town. Kataru's smarter and more clever than he lets on. He acts like he's carefree and laid back, but when he gets serious, shit goes down. This is the story of Kataru solving a horrible murder of a mother. Her body was found posed as a scarecrow, hidden, and he is now discovering that it was a sacrificial kill by a witch, and he's here to smoke it out and figure it out because witches, man, in this world, they look just like you and me. They blend in, they hide in the shadows and poison from the darkness, you know. And good witch hunters were trained from youth onward to become these super investigators / kind of ninja killers for the shogun. The shogun realized the witches of the world, these people desiring all this power through darkness, were a problem. Witches themselves, once you confront them, get really nasty really quick, guys. We're talking
looks
long
like it,
razor
dude.
blades. Yeah, look at those fingernails, baby. Oh, they're kind of based on. I wanted to have that kind of Japanese oni flavor with the horns and horrific claws and stuff. So,
Coleslaw saying, is it a kind of Ronin? Is that how you would
yes,
describe it?
Yeah. In fact, there's a name for him for his world. They call him a Rohuntanen. Instead of a Ronin, it's Rohuntanen, which means rogue hunter in Japanese, I think. Or
awesome.
I don't think that's actually Japanese. I think I might have made that up for the story, so don't quote me on that. That's like that's my fantasy word, okay?
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take your super.
But I combined some words. Sorry.
Yeah, you gotta make it all work for your story, and I'm down for that. Yeah, this looks awesome.
It's made up. Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. It's the first book I did before. Or it's the book I did before Monster MD, and I inked this one myself.
Cool. Who was penciler, or did you pencil?
Penciler was Felix Novera.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, good to know these things because, like, obviously, I like to see. It's always fun to see everybody do their either a rendition or do the role of the inker, penciler, or whatever. Dead Zone Prime likes it. A lot of people are digging this, Vaughn. Anybody else who has not backed this, it's in demand. You can back it now, right?
You sure can.
You sure can. That's right. So definitely, I don't want to. I hate going through the tiers. It's been out for a long time, but
don't worry about that.
Yeah, I just want to show off the magic and like you mainly. Like I feel like it seems like I can vouch for storytelling. So if you guys like good, well-rounded stories that actually have a good, satisfactory feeling at the end, I think that's something you do well. It hits at the end usually.
Thanks, bud. I give it my all. This was an earlier story of mine, and in a way I look back. You know how you look back on your older work, but I re-polished it and looked at it, and I was like, damn, this is fucking good. Like, this is an awesome book waiting to happen. Like, this is the best. Like this just shouldn't be just sitting on my hard drive. Like, this needs, I need to publish this. So it was.
I'm really glad you did.
It was so glad. I was glad to like get back to something that I had made that I thought was just kind of done with, and then realize like this is too cool. This is too awesome to pass up. People are gonna want this. So yeah.
So when did you end up writing that one? What time of your? What lifetime?
It was around. The lifetime was in Chicago as a tea house manager. I would sip tea at work and work on my comic books and write horrific stuff while making old ladies happy.
Dude, that sounds like a manga already. That's like that is just another manga.
It was it was pretty great. I'd bike to work. I'd drink tea. Pretty easy job overall. And I had to keep my mouth shut because everyone in Chicago is like a Democrat Looney Tune. So I was working there when Trump got reelected in 2016. But when I wrote this, it had to have been like 2014. This is a 2014 book.
Okay. So this is like all the ideas from that lifetime. But do you think some of the, I don't know, the chill nature of your job or anything like that added into it? Like, is there any tea scenes? You got any tea scenes in this book?
Oh, there's definitely tea inspiration in this book. That's a really great question. I even opened the second book. I started the second book and never did it. But we did some pretty sweet art for it, though. But
nice.
We stopped. We stopped in the beginning. And I
put it in the vault.
Moving from Chicago, had other stuff I had to do. But it opens with a metaphor about tea leaves bleeding into the cups.
Oh, nice. I just know like things like that, and you can't help but like it's your daily life a lot of times, so you can't help but have it all.
I mean,
become one.
I had a wall, floor to ceiling, of the finest teas in the world, to sip as I as I worked on comics and got paid. It was great.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
And also, I love samurai movies, and I had studied some samurai stuff in Japanese film and film school, and I've always fantasized and dreamed of doing my own samurai ninja badass thing.
Which Kurosawa film's your fave then?
Ooh, I like Ron.
Okay. I've seen that one.
That movie just wow.
Dude, it's gnarly. Man, I mean, I feel like what's the one they usually tell you to go watch in film school?
Seven Samurai or Hidden Fortress. We watched those in film school.
What's the other one?
Rashomon.
Rashomon and Yojimbo or Yojimbo or whatever.
I love Yojimbo.
Yojimbo, yeah.
Yojimbo. And Sanjuro's the sequel.
Okay. Yeah, me too. I like that.
Great.
Yeah, the finale in that one was great. That one
actually
showdown.
Yeah, I agree with you, dude. Maybe Yojimbo's my favorite of his. That awesome finale showdown.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Toshiro Mifune, you can't go wrong. I mean,
yeah,
what a badass.
It is incredible because you're like, man, this is so old and awesome, and it still is better than anything that's coming out now.
He knew what he was doing.
Yep. It's crazy, man.
It's the power of good art, Joe. Let me tell you something, guys. The power of good art cannot be defeated by YouTubers. Okay.
Yeah.
It can't happen.
Yeah. YouTube is, to me, it's just like this. It's so ridiculous. I had another analogy. I always come up with analogies for the problems with YouTube, but it's really just this cycle of just reactions. Essentially, like no one's having real experiences. So YouTube's almost, at least the reaction YouTube side of YouTube is almost like it's just like real life porn for you. It's like I don't have real relationships anymore, so I need to get those feelings artificially somehow. So I'm gonna watch somebody react like my friends would if I had friends. That's how I view it, dude.
Never thought of it that way before.
Yeah, no, look, I watch reaction videos too. I'm not putting anybody down.
I mean, I do. I guess. I get you. It's so the dopamine hits that we've become addicted to, and the virtue signaling that stinks up my internet. I'm so bored of it, and so bored of everyone, and everyone just churning out content. I'm just so I'm trying to make the good stories and art over here, and but that's the thing. I think of it as building my house out of bricks. Well, others build their house out of straw. It's not to undermine that doing YouTube videos is good too, though, to build yourself and your channel, and outreach your audience. That's
helpful.
Awesome. But that's just the way I'm rolling. I'm addicted to story stuff. What can I say? I'm a nerd for it.
Absolutely, dude. I'm trying to. The way I look at it is, I mean, say what you want about Neil Gaiman, but I like one of his quotes, which is about this analogy of a mountain, and the goal is the mountain, you're walking toward it. So the way he describes with your goal, you're either walking toward it, even though you're not really doing the goal, maybe, which is comics. Anything if you're farther enough away from the mountain, you walking kind of in the same direction is kind of heading toward the mountain, even though you're not heading right toward it. So let's just say you're trying to do comics, maybe you just doing flatting for on the side. That's kind of walking toward the mountain of doing comics. And so the whole point is if you're farther enough away, anything remotely close is getting you closer to the mountain, the goal. And but as you get closer, let's just say now you're doing comics, and now you have to choose doing the right comic for you, the one that actually means something, the one that actually is not bullshit, that you're just doing for money,
Right.
Yeah.
What do you want to say in the moment? What do you really want to say? Are you scared to say it? Are you going to really say it? And also, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like my work to be marketable. I don't know how marketable it is. I just I do stick to violence and crazy stuff, but I mean, that's my thing. So do a lot of bands, and they make a whole living off of that. And so, I mean, but I can still write cool comics for kids if you hired me to. I can write anything. I'm really damn good at it. It's just I don't know. I want to be the best I can at my craft. And
dude, and that's the mountain too. If you do the kid story or whatever, that's really still going toward the mountain. That's not it's not like you all doing a U-turn and whatever, going back to the tea house, Nothing against
trying
the
to balance like me being good with my work and being honest with my work and expressing myself with marketability, you know? Like, I don't think there are books of mine that I'm like, that could be really more marketable than others, but I don't like necessarily hold that book in higher esteem. It's more about like, when does it come out? Do you know what I mean? Like, when should I release that?
Yeah, it's more of like a when, not like if.
Because different genres might sell better than others, and there's almost nothing you can do about that too. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when it comes to crowdfunding,
it's applicable to a lot of things. Like, I think about that with YouTube too. Like, just like, dude, if you're doing YouTube, sell out a little bit because you're going to have a little bit more success. Like, yeah, I mean, unless you really love YouTube content that much, where that's like your passion. But if you're kind of watching this channel, probably art's more important to you, and so I would wager that you putting a little bit of, pretty much pick your times and places to sell out a little bit. Like if that's YouTube a little bit, go for it. If that's like, I do that with like storyboards. Like I do commercial storyboards as a part-time day job. And that's my selling out moment. That's like, I have to appease the DEI stuff. I have to appease all the
really?
crappy writing. Yeah, of course. And so, but that's still me walking toward the mountain. That's still me practicing storytelling. That's still me practicing drawing. And so I don't have a problem with it.
You're in the gym and you're keeping yourself afloat so you can keep doing what you love. Like, who can knock that? Like, you gots to. You're an artist doing art for money, which a lot of artists aren't. A lot of artists are not doing their art for money. They wish. It's hard as hell, man. So
it's hard as it is really hard. You have to get like lucky breaks and constant persistence. And I can't, man, if I had a kid, I don't know how I would advise them on like, if they're an artsy type of person, if to pursue that immediately or because you can do it both ways. You can try to get the funding to like be self-sustaining and then do your art, or you can do it the other way around. Just go straight art and try to make it work with a day job. You know, it's hard either way.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried to do the safe way and it didn't work out. It sucked. Like, none of my jobs lasted, none of them paid that great. When I was living in Chicago, I was like, 2016? That was when I was about to leave. Around 2017, I ended up leaving. And I'm telling you, like, every job interview I went to, I was interviewed by these, like, bloated, dumb chicks who, like, clearly didn't deserve their jobs, who had other things on their mind while they were interviewing me. And I could tell they hated me. I was a white male. And I was just like, I got to get out of this city, dude. This is hell. This is bullshit.
You're a bastard, dude. Dude, your skin color, dude.
I'm a bastard.
Fix it, dude. Fix it.
I mean, I like being a little translucent. Chill, everybody.
I know.
My thing. I just knew I had to get the hell out of there. Like, you could feel the discrimination in the air just in general in the culture because they're more lefty up there. It's
a real thing. The people that don't realize it is a real thing. If you go to these the big cities, it's just like it's like you think twice because you're like, after the 10th time somebody mentions this type of wrong think, like it starts seeping in. You're like, oh, okay, I know that's, if I say this thing, it's going to be wrong thing to these people. It makes sense. I know, like, so you're this edgy based guy. You got like gothic themes a lot of times. Are you did you like grow up Catholic or something? Do you have like a background in spiritual religion and stuff?
No, my parents raised me to just find my own path when it comes to God. My family's roots are Protestant. We helped build a church.
Oh yeah,
which I think is wonderful.
Like physically or like funding wise?
I think I don't know if my granddad was there for any of the physical labor, but he had to have helped raise funds.
Okay.
He helped basically. I guess he helped set it up and build it. Yeah, so he probably helped raise funds. I don't know all the details, but I know he helped with it. And but my mom insisted that we didn't do the church thing in my family. So,
well, how free thinking? That's awesome.
Yeah, like she was just like, find it yourself.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of ghosts in the world. Just kidding. It's all bullshit. Now find God. See ya. So
Yeah.
that's my mom's the best. She's the best mom ever. I love her. But like she kept us from going to church, and so I've just found God on my own throughout the years, and
Okay.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
So you're finding the deity in life, or are you finding like
Yeah.
just the spirit of
God, like
Okay.
God is something I've like fought against and blah 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 as a young angry whatever man, and and I feel that now it's something that I embrace. It's something that
Okay.
I love. It loves me. So
Interesting. So yeah, you you weren't raised with it, but you found it somehow.
Right. It took what it takes a lot of people to find it. Utter despair.
Yeah, hitting rock bottom. Is that what you're saying? No.
Sort of, yeah. Sort of.
That is a trope. That is a born again trope, I feel like. But yeah, I always ask because like a lot of people. I mean, I was raised Catholic, so like all the Gothic stuff, the cathedral stuff. I'll be really surprised if one day I don't make like a sci-fi cathedral story somewhere, like in space, because it just that is some of the best imagery. There's so much great, dude. The cathedrals on Earth are like almost every one of them seems like a world wonder. It's like these are cooler than the pyramids, dude. Like this
created in a time where people would walk into them and they wanted them to feel like they were in heaven, like they were closer to God. That's some inspirational architecture right there.
Insane that it's that like powerful that you're like and when you go there in person, you're like you can't help but like be like a little freaked out. You're like, man, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. This is as crazy as the Grand Canyon type of stuff.
Have you ever been to St. Peter's?
Yeah.
Rome?
Yeah. Oh, no, not Rome. There's another St. Peter's.
In Vatican City.
Yeah, I know you're. No, I'm not.
Okay,
I've never been to Italy, but there's another St.
Okay.
Peter's somewhere. But you're talking about the famous one. Okay.
No, yeah, I was talking about the Vatican City one. That
Yes,
made me go.
Never been there.
That blew my mind. I mean,
dude, I obviously seeing pictures, family have gone, but yeah, you what do you think? What do you like? You're like, this is confirming my godly beliefs.
no, I was 21 years old and I didn't believe in God. I didn't have God in my life at all. I was a 21-year-old miscreant, like artsy guy, just going there and studying for school and drawing and drinking wine and chasing girls.
Yeah, I think I was thinking of St. Patrick's in New York City. I forgot which cathedral that is in New York City. But anyway, but yeah, dude, that's interesting that like it's all part of the. For me, the aesthetic is like I just think Castlevania. I think these kind of gothic themes and like werewolves. That's what I've seen, like these arches and stuff. You're like, man, this is just so freaking cool. Especially if like it's storming or it's snowing, and you're just like, man, this is like I don't need to go to play a video game. This is nuts. Around it. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love that type of architecture too, but I swear I was writing a cyberpunk story where there's a mute. He's like an ex-super soldier, but he's a monk now who lives in like a sweet cathedral. Because I just love the idea of like the crazy city, but then like an awesome old cathedral that's still around, amongst that. So he's a great character too, but yeah.
Like the pigeon lady in Home Alone 2.
Kevin, I'm starving. Here's 2 turtle doves. We're best friends. Bye. Kevin, I'm dying.
I'm just gonna die up here.
Oh, so funny. But yeah, I love that stuff. I even have a really gothic story I'm working on called Death Slinger. It's kind of my take on necromancy, where she goes to this like super gothic school, of course, right? It has to be like the most gothic Archie thing ever. So we just did the first pages and they look great.
Dude, that name is great too. I was like, the minute you said it, I was like, seems like it's been made already. That's awesome.
It's Death Slinger, baby. I've been working on that forever, and it's taken different incarnations. At first, it was more, because of the name, too, like you can tell, it was more cowboyish, like necromancy meets, gunslinging and filling your gun with, like, bones and grave dust and then shooting it necromancy magic style at people and stuff.
Dude, that reminds me of a video game for some reason. I don't know what game.
Probably.
I know there was, like, a weird game where you, like, loaded weird shit in your gun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a game like that. I just don't. I don't even think it was like a main part of the game. It was just like a really, some
Like a
games just
cool
have
element.
like, yeah, it was just a cool element. It was a flop of a game, but you're like, man, that's like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. That does happen.
It happens a
Flops
lot.
Even they have their moments. They have their like cool thing.
Absolutely. There was one, oh man, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. There's so many like those examples. We'll never stop talking about it if I go down that angle.
Totally.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah, I'm doing it's necromancy. It's going to be badass. It's going to be fun.
Heck yeah.
I'm doing it in a way that I think people will understand, but also be like, "Oh, that's kind of clever. That's cool." I miss cleverness in comics too. Man. I'm trying to put that in all my stuff, man.
I think that's what
Where is
is a calling card for your stuff is like this, and it's something that I'm jealous of because I think it's like the one thing that I don't have in whatever I'm doing is like I think the thing as a whole is like this really creative world I'm building, but I don't have like these elements that are really like just cool ideas that like for some reason that's how you build it. Like you were talking about before, like you have this amalgamation of all these cool elements and they all come together nicely. For me, I almost like I'm too logical for that or something. Like I'm like, I need it all to fit nicely in this world that I want it to be. And if it doesn't match up nice, I rule it out or something. Anyway, that's something I'm jealous of. I will be working on just making, just like the Chainsaw Man effect. Like Chainsaw Man would never work. It is nuts. You know what I mean? But like it works because it just does, type of thing.
Well, yeah. What do they call that? They call that internal logic of the story, where you don't. In our world, we're just like that's ridiculous, but in this world, it just is. That's the crazy. Like when I was. Do you ever watch that anime called Doro Hidoro on Netflix?
I think I have seen a couple. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that don't explain anything to you in that. That's just you just watch the world unfold before you and you're just going, it makes zero sense and I love it and I'm hypnotized by it and I want to see what happens next, but it doesn't. It's the world's logic unfolding before you. It's a really risky, weird way to tell a story that I think can actually backfire too.
Yeah.
But I
think in some of your work I see
magic. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's cool.
Yeah, no, I know. I think that's like whatever the like that thing that happens in Japan where like there's so many different ideas coming out, it forces the comic creators to like really be creative, really come up with this like weird mix of elements. And I think that's something you're bringing to the indie space over here. It's like a similar thing where you're like, okay, even if you don't write it and execute it great, like whatever elements you start with are really good.
Yeah, it's like your ingredients is your meal. Your meal is what satisfies or doesn't, and you want to have like that perfect combination of ingredients. And do I know what that is? I don't know. I think a lot of things can be instincts, and some artists have different inclinations and instincts. So I would say if you're having trouble with that, maybe it's time to go against your instincts.
I think maybe so. Like, yeah, just throw something together. Maybe I'll do some of those like concept prompts and just like throw things together that maybe normally won't go together.
And like see what you create from it for fun. It's like changing up your exercise at the gym, right? And trying something new. And either way, it's like the results may be hilarious, the results may be awesome, but no matter what, it was work that you did that helped you grow as an artist and helped you. Going against your instincts is healthy. It's fun. It's weird that to me that I'm doing a story right now, the one I mentioned earlier about the villain. It's called Murder League. That's the name of it. So the joke is like that the bad guy team will be called Murder League, but also that they're all about to get murdered. And they don't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of a funny pun name, but like I didn't expect myself to do a superhero story anytime soon. And it's like, why am I doing it? It's not because I got all weird and fluffy about superheroes. I kind of almost hate them. I don't hate them at all. I love them with all my heart, but I almost hate I'm part of the superhero burnout on the movies. Like I feel it, you feel it, we feel it. Like I'm burnt out with them too, guys, and I hate what the mainstream's been doing to them. So maybe it does come from my hatred of how boring and bad they become that I had to create this story that makes them so cool and fun again and like amazing. But what really made me want to make it was the human element. This idea of a guy not wanting to be a villain because he's Mr. in Love and he's all mushy for some chick and everyone's like, what the hell's wrong with you? He used to be a villain, you know?
Yeah.
And he's trying to go straight again, and then a corrupt hero who's in charge and has all the power and has the media on his side. I just loved all those. When you love all the elements and the characters are speaking to you and you can't stop listening, I mean, that's the story I end up gravitating towards.
That's where the magic kind of comes from. Yeah, I will be taking some of that advice as I move forward, but I've done a lot of little things that move me toward that creativity I'm looking for. I mean, obviously, if you guys don't know, probably a good time to do this. I've got a book called Star Circuit, but it's a sci-fi cyberpunk book that, where did it have it on my page? Here we go. Oh, that's why I have to do this. There we go. So yeah, my book, like I said, has good elements of essentially drama. Like it's this really tight knit type of family drama, and at the same time, you're trying to figure out what's going on in this future world where androids are now the pinnacle of like racers, and you know they are necessary for society, but you know the main character is not comfortable with them, and for many good reasons. But in this story, we've done the first chapter. I've actually took some advice and put the preview up here. So now you can go and read the first little bit of the first chapter. And as you can see, go patch in and check out other things. I made this character page, which is, I think these are little fun little things that you can go really quickly.
It's good to get people into your characters. It really helps. I think it's very important.
For sure. And so there's like this really, really cool thing that's happening with the new chapter. I decided to do, this is where it's pretty much, I took a piece of fat that should have been cut out of the story and would have been nicely cut, but I decided to like double down into the fat almost. It's like,
oh yeah, cheat day.
Essentially, I was like, here's fat that you probably, if I was trying to tell this in a movie, a feature film, it would definitely get cut. But in a series on whatever, you know, in like an episodic thing, it works because I made the chapter into its nice self-contained.
It's my chapter, damn it! I can do what I want.
Yeah, I'm that writer that gets hired on and just like goes off the wall and makes it whatever.
It's good.
Yeah, but this next chapter is great, guys. You can go sign up here at the main page for chapter 2. It's essentially because Atlas kind of gets synced with this technology. The villain now has like actually a measurement and is kind of locked onto him. So the main villain, has sent out some assassins that are after him. And it kind of it forces him and the thing that he gets synced with to start that character development. And they really get to see, you can start to get to see where the relationship becomes real between this technology and him. I know I'm being really vague, but that's because I kind of have to be. But yeah.
Well, what made you decide to do? Is this okay? Maybe I'm wrong. Is this a man versus machine story?
It is. It is, but it is. It's more like on a philosophical level. It's more a let's see. It's more of like a man's like purpose, like man's search for meaning mixed with man's
beyond machine.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. So we're like,
does that make sense? Like,
to me, it's a mixture of the man versus machine plus in this world, man doesn't have purpose. So he's trying to find both. It's like, how do you find purpose in a world that doesn't know that you should find it in the first place? And at the same time, this man versus machine story is almost like fueling it. It's so I'm explaining it probably horribly right now, but on this page, I did this for this main reason. If you go click story, I write it right here in this little note. Perfect. So you can definitely check it in the story.
It's interesting to what made you, do you mind if I ask what made you decide to do a man versus machine story?
Okay, well, yeah, first, I really wanted to kind of dive into like why do we strive at anything in the first place, and the machine element of them not having this drive, like it doesn't matter to them. It's like they just do because that's just what they do. For us, we have a choice, or seemingly we have a choice, and and that's kind of alluding to where I'm going with this, which is like, is free will a thing? Are we compatible with machine, like kind of like this cyborg thing where like, are we compatible with machines? Are we the same as machines? Are we machines? Right. Or are we completely different that we can make choices? And so that's where I'm going with the story.
You're getting to explore all these great sci-fi elements with this.
Essentially, yeah.
That. So that's
and
on
the same time, at the same time, I'm drawing from all my drama-y things that from my life, and I just know how dirty and messy family and like there's so many. If you look in history, there's so many just feuds between siblings, and just like half the things that have happened are just because like one guy's jealous of the other guy. You know, that's it. There's no other reason. You know, he starts a whole war because of it. You know, like. There's so many things like that. And so that's kind of what this is about. It's like, there's this family feudish type of thing. Plus nobody knows what the hell they're doing. And now androids are in the mix, and kind of taking our relevance. So, yeah, but yeah, you guys can go sign up.
Struggle for its existence to not be defined by its technology anymore.
Yes. And also, in the future, we just, what is meaning really serve a purpose, because a lot of times purpose for us like drives us to create and do stuff, but what if we've already created all the things we need? You know, is the purpose even useful anymore? But all these things that I'm trying to figure out in each chapter, I'm trying to focus on one, and so I'm trying to do it that way, but also I'm just also trying to create this fun story. And so in this one, in chapter 2, I've really pushed the stakes. I really got to this moment where there's no turning back, like type of thing, where like it's impossible. Like as I wrote it, I was like, I don't even know how he's going to get out of this. This is going to be nuts. Like, I hope he gets out, you know? So for me, that told me I was on the right path of something that like, you won't be able, at some point, if you get to this page number, you're not going to be able to put it down, because you're just like, how I need to know. There's no, the question gap is there, I guess. So,
it's going to be interesting to see what you do in 2 then. This is great. It's got all those classic like sci-fi kind of warnings about, you know, but it's more than that. It's not just, oh, watch out. It's like you get to see the characters deal with this and overcome this stuff. These you know, our technology being taking care of us like babies and turning us into mush and turning us into people who have no real goals to achieve anything. I think humanity naturally gravitates towards purpose and wanting goals, and so a story like that's cool because it's
that's what really drew me in at some point. I think when I first wrote it, I went with a totally different theme. It was much more just like, you know, shonen anime style, just like, let's just go for the gold, and you know, like, and I was like, man, that's just I saw it being just something that I wouldn't be interested in 5 years or whatever. And so I was like, let's not go down that path. Let me do something that I really think. Somebody brought this up on an interview at one point. Like, you need to write something that you're really toiling with. If you're not really toiling with it in your brain, like, you're not going to try to push the boundaries of the story to like actually figure it out. You're not going to force the characters to figure it out for you. And in some ways that is what I'm doing. I'm like, it's almost like therapy. It's like, I'm trying to figure out like, what's the meaning to all this in my book.
Well, yeah.
So,
like, well, what in the search for meaning, you have to ask yourself, like, what do you want to say? And, you know, like, I guess that's where the toiling comes in.
Yeah.
Like, what is bothering? Because that does happen to me. I notice with my work, it's like, I'll stop myself and go, what am I really saying? Oh, I'm saying that to not trust the elites. Because I'm mad at them right now. And what did I end up creating from that? It's called Psycho Killers, and it's put out by Gifted Rebels.
Yes.
So like things like that. Like, that was a response to like being sick of the corrupt elites. And that was what I was toiling with at the time. And it ends up creating these cool characters who are toiling with their own problems that are stemmed from the things that you're dealing with in here. It's kind of fun. Yeah. It's definitely therapy.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people, it's cheap therapy. It just takes a lot of your time. And, you know, if you got the creative urge, I think like if you're going to create something, or if you have that urge to create, you're going to do it anyway. You might as well put as much of your like yourself in it, and like as much as like your debate in your own brain on like, what's this whole thing about? Like, this whole life is weird, and what's really worth, to me, I'm toiling with what's really worth it.
Well, you know, Joe, do you ever watch YouTube videos about like bands you like and their different albums over the years or anything like rock?
There's a few of them, yeah.
A few,
Like
yeah.
retrospectives of bands and
Right.
stuff.
Right. Like, you ever notice how like different some of their albums will be for certain bands? Like, they were like, on this one, we're going to try something totally different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and they had different things to say, and then they had different looks. Like, think of David Bowie, right? Like, that's an easy
Yeah.
one to think of, all the different looks and all the different albums with very different things to say, very different sounds. He did an album called Outside that was actually like a story that connected, things like
Yeah.
that. He always just did what he wanted, and it just makes me go, I want to do what I want. So like, I came up with this idea, like, maybe sometimes you should try to come up with ideas that are, I don't know, how do I put it? Like, just not what you would normally do, and like break out of yourself for a bit. So I came up with an idea of a comic story called Warlike, where an alien lands and it, like, we can't destroy it with anything we throw at it, and it's like this super being, and he's just like, you guys don't get it. Like, I'm just a scout. The army's coming, and you guys were supposed to be way more warlike by now. You're a bunch of wimps. Like, I have to whip you into shape. And like, he's the most non-PC, like, says everything. Basically, the idea was, this guy says everything I've ever really wanted to think and feel and say, like, or a lot of us have, and like, because we're just fed up with the PC and all the horse shit and all the lies and all the nonsense, and like because this alien's like, you're supposed to, because basically he's like, all those wars you had in the past, that was not just an accident. Like, you guys are warlike. That's why we put you here, to become a race of warriors. What happened? You're all at the mall. What is this shit? Like, he's freaking out
That's
because he's
great.
the scout, right? So yeah, and of course I have to work in the humanity. So like, he starts befriending and living with like a young boy who gets bullied at school and all the classic, and he has to learn to be more warlike to stand up to these bullies, because that's the truth of it. The truth in life is not that we can be pure peaceful or that we can be all warlike. You gotta find that time to stand up and fight the bullies and declare war, and the time to like chill the hell out and look for peace and back up, you know?
Yeah.
You find the balance. So anyway, but yeah, the whole idea stemmed from me just going, I just want to write a character where I could just say the most horrible, crazy shit that I feel and think that offends people. You know what I mean? And then this whole cool idea came from that. Anyway. I don't know.
Dude, that I dig that, because it's like those things in that way. A lot of stories that you write, and almost all stories, are like this fantasy. Like, a lot of people say like these boyish type of stories are these power fantasies that we have, but almost every story is like a fantasy of some kind. Like like a rom-com is a fantasy about finding love in a nice happy-go-lucky way. Like if you're going for a sci-fi one, it's like this fantasy of like to see what the future's like that you're going to never get to see because you're going to die. And so every story is almost a fantasy of some kind. You just want to visualize it and dramatize it in a way where, like it's fun and seamless, and you don't have to like. Otherwise, if you don't see these stories from other people, like to me, you just be either sitting there wondering about what it'd be like, and the whole goal of the creators to make this world, this escape to show what this is all about. Dude, that's a really cool premise.
Well, I hate the concept of male power fantasy. That was made up by evil feminists who hate men and hate what we like. Because it frames what we like in a way that makes it sound base and generic and stupid and caveman and like I want to lift car with one arm. Ha ha ha! I fantasize about that all day. That's not what men's power fantasies are. I want to be able to have the strength to save everyone I love. I want to be able to like save that girl I have a crush on. I want to be able to there are these they're beautiful fantasies.
Yeah. That
had nothing wrong. That no women were harmed during, by the way.
Yeah. And here's the thing: the people, they also forget. Like, even let's just say in this power fantasy, there are some God forbid, some casualties, or people get hurt in whatever it is. Like, sometimes there's no way out of a situation where somebody doesn't get hurt. Like, sometimes you have to bite the bullet and save the person, or let's just say you're in a knife fight. You're not going to get out of the knife fight without getting cut, but you might be able to stop them. You might be able to save somebody, but you're going to get cut. And there's no way out of a lot of situations like that. And it's not so clean. But yeah, I'd argue the same way.
Yeah, it's not that clean. It's not. And I appreciate artists that can show that with their work. that things aren't all perfect, clean, little tied up, and yet I'm a sucker for happy endings. I don't get it, but I just I'm a sucker for
dude.
good, solid, like let's like work it out endings. So
Me too. I love the ideal. A lot of times we don't get a lot of those these days because I think a lot of stories push the gritty realism. Everything's gray. There's no right and wrong. There's no, you know what I mean? To me, like, that's like throwing out the baby with the bathwater ish if you're going that route. Because not that you need to find moral, like you can make a character with bad morals. Just be clear with what you're doing here. Like there's like if you're trying to figure out what's right and wrong in this one situation, have the character do the wrong thing and then see the consequences, and but be clear about that. Don't like Game of Thrones is awesome, but like there's this little gray area of like, just survival is the number one thing. To me, gets old after a while. I think one of the reasons why the creators jumped ship was because they're like, we've done this a long time. I feel like we're covering a lot of this stuff. I think we want to do the next thing.
Well, I could never get into Game of Thrones myself. The whole premise of like just a bunch of different people who are all vying for the throne, and then there's no main character and there's no like anyone to root for because everyone just kills everyone and it's a cycle of it over and over again. Like I couldn't get into it.
Well, that's the thing. They kill. Well, I know you haven't seen it, but like the Stark family,
I watched
you
a
must.
little bit. Yeah.
So the Stark family is like that. One, the family you're rooting for, but it gets derailed so quickly that
the Red Wedding.
Yeah. They're like,
yeah.
I mean, it is a good example of still good writing, good execution, just a good show. But like I said, for me, it gets old.
Yeah. I mean, let's say they do have nice moments between characters. Don't care about them too much. They're going to go on this show. So it's like, I felt like I felt like everyone was watching it back then to be in on the conversation. And I was just like, man, I'm not going to do that. I don't.
Yeah. Well, at some point it just became like watch party porn. You're just like with you. Let's all sit around and just like laugh and be surprised at the expectations being subverted and, your character died, bro.
I had a roommate who made me do a watch party at my place with her to do what was it? American Horror Story. That was some watch party porn, and we watched season 2, which is just like a big mess of nothing, of crazy nothing.
I've only seen one maybe season, not the whole season either. I can't remember which one I saw, but it definitely was freaky. I don't know what I was watching though.
Yeah. Not my cup of tea. I'm not really into that story. Couldn't get in. So, but I mean, I know what it's like. Yeah, when that's the thing to do and talk about. I couldn't get into it. I like the idea that stories are more than just exploring. I love that some artists, I don't judge them or anything. It's cool if they want to do it, if they want to explore things. But I like the idea of a satisfying meal. I like the idea of a story that is as relates to the light fighting against the dark, that a character that overcomes something by the end. It doesn't have to be a dragon. It could be just like a principal at his school. It could be something, or just something within himself. But something about me prefers that style of nutrition for my soul, if you will. Even though I have read weird avant-garde stuff and watched all the weirdest movies in the world, and I love them in a way. Another way, I just, as a creator too myself, like, maybe who knows what will happen though. Maybe later I'll do like the most weird nonsense, like trippy story. But I have such a craving for the hero that overcomes. Like,
it's true. Yeah, I feel this every time I talk with Narwhal. But it's like there's this element of the hero's journey that I really, really love, regardless of how sometimes tropey it is. And I think I really enjoy just. Like you're talking, like I think that's why I like your stories a lot. Is because I can recognize. I just see the structure. I'm like, okay, I love the structure. He loves the structure. This is a book for me. And I know I'm not. I don't want to make it out to be so cookie cuttery, but being a creator, notice it. Yeah.
But some people can, like when I was first starting film school, it was really easy, and I was guilty of this too, to think like 3-act structure is just simple, boring, obvious. You're going to do something better, or you shouldn't use it. But my argument is that like what you do is you learn the structure, and then within it, there's an infinite possibilities for expressing yourself and telling your story in a way that hits people well. Think of,
You're speaking my language, dude.
Anything. It could be anything. And just those 3-act structures are just beats that keep the story structure solid enough to keep the ride going, to keep the roller coaster up so people can enjoy it. So don't think of that as like horrible restrictions. Think of it as infinite space. And you will do well in 3-act structure.
Dude, I dig it because that's how I view just about everything. Like almost the more limitations you put on me, the more creative I get because I have to think now, okay, like even with writers that want to give me a full on script that are just like, I'm going to tell you the panel, I'm going to tell you the angle, I'm going to tell you this. Okay, so those are all the limitations. You better believe whatever you didn't say, I'm getting crazy with, bro. Like, like that's how I view it. So and I tell people that up front, the writers that I work with, I'm like, okay, cool. You can give me everything that you want to be in it and must have. These restrictions will be definitely there, but wherever you're giving me leeway, I'm gonna put my leeway. And so it almost is like this push pull. Like they start like, oh, maybe I should pull back with how many times I tell them we need an upshot or like exactly where it should be visually because. Anyway, it's not a threat. It almost seems like I'm threatening the writer. It's not a threat. All I'm saying is like with restrictions comes the creativity. And so that's why I'm with the 3-act structure is exactly that. These are the things that like are somewhat satisfying to humans. And, within that, you're going to get creative.
It's like serving your food in the restaurant on a dish. It's like that's what you need to use to serve the food is the 3-act structure is the dish. And then on that dish could be anything you want, baby. Like it's and by following the 3-act structure and using it, people will enjoy it more than they would eating it out of their hands or in a piece of paper. Anyway, they're just you can do anything.
I was gonna say there are rules that like you can break a few here and there or whatever you want to break, you can still break. It's not like there's no. Somebody says the writer of Toy Story 3. I watched his channel recently. I don't know why it came up. It's one of those algorithms. I can't remember his name, but he wrote Little Miss Sunshine and he wrote Toy Story 3.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But that guy, he calls them. These aren't rules; they're tools. Is what he says. So, and so
that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. And, he breaks out a lot of, go check out his channel. It's a really small one. You're like, man, this guy is uber famous and he's only got like 6,000 followers. You're like, this is nuts. But yeah, he breaks it down really well. I don't know if he animates his channel himself, but everything is like beautifully animated.
Beautiful. Wow. I'm surprised it's not bigger. I have to handle my dog really quick. I'll be right back. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. So guys, if you are enjoying the channel, this is a channel for creative people, but you don't have to be necessarily a creator to enjoy the channel. I've got 2 new videos on like breaking down comic styles. So if you like comic books and if you like especially different artist styles, I have these 2 videos that are pretty popular. And I recognize that like it's cool to talk about these things and try to break down as much as possible and trying to figure out what the secret sauce is for different artists. So I have those out recently. I'm working on a new video actually about AI. And AI art and a take from Dave Raposa that he recently gave. So that should be out soon. And yeah, the channel's really growing. So I really appreciate everybody coming around and all the new subscribers. Really do enjoy it. Let's check out the chat. So we haven't really attended to the chat this whole time. Let's do some backtracking. Jolly Green shows up. What's up, Jolly Green? Good to see you. Dead Sun Prime is talking about characters here. Without internal struggle, characters are not alive. That is true. And a lot of these character struggles, the internal struggle characters have, is the same struggle the writer is trying to work through that we're talking about. Like it's the struggle of figuring out, pretty much you get to make the character on screen or on the page, figure it out in real time. So,
and hopefully relate to somebody out there along the way. I mean, even if it don't relate, I don't know, there's a feeling that comes over you when you get to experience these things without having almost died yourself, but the character almost does. There's a definite escapism to it. I always love the metaphor of Silence of the Lambs, where Agent Starling is haunted by the screams of the lambs that wake her up at night, and she thinks if she can just save this one girl from this one crazy serial killer, it's going to cure her. It's going to make her less haunted.
I forgot about that. That's awesome.
And it's in the girl that's innocent at the bottom of the well that the serial killer has. She has become the metaphorical lamb. So like when you can do that with a story, the external mirrors the internal struggle. Like that's when you're cooking with magic, guys.
Yeah. We were talking about the Toy Story 3 writer guy. He brings up it in the view of stakes. And he breaks down the stakes being 3 different types of stakes. The physical stakes of like, okay, how is he going to get out of this? How are they going to actually avoid the whatever physical, type of danger? The emotional, which is like, oh, this is the Indiana Jones. I'm scared of snakes. How am I going to get up past the snakes thing?
Perfect.
And then the third one is philosophical, which is like what we're talking about with like free will. Like to me, I don't really believe free will exists. How am I going to show that in my book and like, maybe also have it tinge into like a good happy ending or an ending that is worthwhile. Anyway, the point is like those stakes are also there. Like someone calls that's the thematic debate. Like
right.
A lot of
Wow.
debates for theme are based on viewpoints of value. Yeah. So
I don't think about that enough. I mean, I'm raised the stakes, but I never thought about it. I love how much I've get to learn on your show. It's awesome. Thank you.
Dude, I'm really just I'm parroting here, but dude, I'm the king of that. I'm the king of parroting. At least I watch enough stuff where I am copying Wally Wood style here.
That's every single thing that's ever a hit or awesome, you always can look into it and find out it was a copy of whatever other thing, and they were just riffing on it. Like,
yeah,
that's they were riffing on it, and that's great that they did. Don't ever feel ashamed. Like they say, good artists steal for a reason. Or great artists steal, good artists copy, or something like that. I feel a lot of my work is going, oh, he did this with that tool and it's really effective and I want to lift that and use that. But it's going to be used in such a different way with different characters and situations and everything that you're like, okay, in the end, I'm not, you're stealing what works for telling the best story. You're not necessarily lifting from that person's actual IP. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel like I'm a personal believer in that you can't steal and copy enough almost. Like there's you literally can steal if you are that dastardly and like you're literally going to steal the character and steal the costume and steal it all and whatever. Like there are very few people, sociopaths, that will do that. If you're one of the general masses, like I feel like you're not going to have to worry about that. To me, your brain's going to naturally sort out the copy stuff. You're going to take, oh, I really like how he draws his eyeballs or whatever, his eyelashes. And you're going to be like, okay, let me take some of that.
Yeah.
Your brain is not good enough to exactly copy it. You're going to take a little bit of it and then move on. You're going to get bored with the copy. Like this is Frank Vizetta, whoever was that guy that copied Frank Vizetta's style, begins with a V, his last name. But even him, like he became his own artist because like he did different type of material.
Copying. Right. Yeah. When I first started inking, I was copying Todd McFarlane. I was copying Eastman and Laird on Ninja Turtles. I was copying to learn it. I couldn't learn it unless I copied. Like I couldn't just do it. I didn't know what I was doing. So it's just, and when you copy, you learn how to do it, and then you end up making it your own. Yeah, almost every time. It's
absolutely. And I think it's out of incompetence. I was going to say, like, that's the perfect word. Like, we're too incompetent to steal effectively. Like, even if you want to steal, you're not going to steal perfectly because you're not perfect. Like, you think you can't write a great story, but you're going to steal somebody else's story perfectly. Yeah, that's not going to work. No way.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And in the end, it's like, why are you doing this then? Like, what's the point?
Right.
Why? So yeah, it's flat. It's my God, I love being able to lift things from different things because in the end, we're DJs combining it anyway. Like we're making our own remixes of everything. Vallejo. Yeah. He was the Frank Vizetta copy that everybody.
I worked at a company that we had one of the designers from a lot of different things, but he redesigned a lot of the stuff from The Matrix, and he was my art director for a while. And he brought up this guy. He was like, "Don't worry, he's the guy. This art director was the guy that told me to trace." He was like, "Dude, what? Just trace the pocket watch, dude. Just there's no reason you have to recreate the pocket watch. Just trace it and then design on top of it. Do whatever you got to do." But
and then make it cool. Yeah.
He used Vallejo as the example. He's like, "Dude, even this dude that copied to the T is still his own artist. He's still famous.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to worry about
That's
it.
crazy. I forgot about him, but that's totally true. It's when you ask people who are their influences, those were the people they copied, like when they were growing up and learning all this stuff.
Absolutely.
They teach you how to do it, and then you make it your own later, man. That's that's what musicians do, is what painters do. It's just common. It's all part of the fun, man. I like it when people see what I lifted in my stuff, because it's like, yeah, I love that movie. Yeah, I love that comic. Like, yeah, you sell that? I love that too. It's part of who I am. It's part of what I love.
And guess what? A lot of those just are called Easter eggs these days. Like, they're just like, we do it on purpose sometimes. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I really like Blade Runner. Just look around for the Blade Runner stuff, you know?
Yeah. You'll see a little unicorn somewhere in there, maybe.
Yeah, some origami space bike is in
origami.
there somewhere.
Oh, that's cool. See, it's people love that stuff too. Like you don't hear of people complaining about it. Like, I have a sternly worded letter about that reference. Like it's
I know. Well, and especially even if you get that famous, to get to that level, you are uber famous if somebody's complaining about Easter
they're that
eggs.
mad.
Yeah. There's no
sure.
there's no level that you're going to be arguing at for. But I think we've reached the max, because I have to record a video and work
2
on
hours.
Star Circuit. Yeah, we did great. We did really
Thanks.
a lot of time here.
Appreciate you for having me, man. It's always great talking to you, and I learn stuff and have a great time. So
Yeah,
thank
I want to
you
bring
so
up your
much.
website another time before we head out, because, dude, Rise Again Comics is Vaughn's label. Is that what you want to call it? Is that how?
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
my publishing company. This is That's what we're using to make comics cool again. I'm going to open the store pretty soon. I think after I finish the Kataru campaign, I'll launch the Rise Again bookstore. And we will start selling all my awesome books.
I'm stoked.
What is it? A mailing list on my website that you can sign up so you don't miss anything.
Right there in this thing here, right?
Down at the bottom.
Bottom. Down here, guys.
Woo!
Subscribe.
Yep.
Yeah, tons of cool elements in all your books, and really, really satisfying stories. I can't hype it up enough. I've got all your books. Well, actually, I don't have all your books. There's probably books that I don't know about.
I don't know.
But at the same time, dude, everything I've read so far has been fantastic. So I highly recommend anybody who watching this later down the road and wants some good book, come here. I'm sure his store will be open. Until then, I will put I think I do have Kataro's in-demand Indiegogo in the description, guys. So you can go check it out there if you haven't backed it already. When are you shipping an estimated date, or how's that working?
I have not started print yet, but we're almost there. And I don't have the estimated shipping date yet, but I want to do it pretty soon. Like, I don't want to. This won't be lagging very much. The book is already done, so I'm just like going to perfect it for print. Excuse me, and then I will be. I'll be like letting everybody know, like, here's our hard shipping date, once
Nice.
I get it back from the printers. So, yeah, but printing is hopefully happening within not too long. I want to make sure everything's perfect, and because there's more than just the Kataru book. There's the book I am making for this campaign, which is the Necrovanicon, which is my art book and all my cool character design work and if you were really into my work and how I do things and how I visualize and want to see some of my other crazy work that I haven't done yet, Necrovanicon is here. And so
Yes.
I'm finishing that up. That'll be fun. It's been an awesome book to do, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think people will dig all the notes and all the little insights into like how I create and all the different crazy things I make.
Oh yeah, I love that. Behind this, as a lot of us early backers, I'm sure all of us really appreciate those type of books. I know I do. But yeah, thanks for coming on. This is incredible. I really had a great time talking to you. I didn't even touch on a lot of the stuff I wrote down, so there's way more to go through the next time we talk. But as a quick outro, I'm going to do our Star Circuit 2 teaser. I do have somewhat of a date for the launch. I think I'm going to aim for mid-April. I think the 17th, that Wednesday, I think is what I'm aiming for, Star Circuit 2 launch. That's big. That also hinges on me getting the work done, because I like having it more like a pre-order instead of like I need to make it still type of thing. So I like to hit the 80% mark before I
Perfect.
actually launch.
That's really good.
But-
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm headed. Everybody go support Vaughn and all his endeavors. You are Vonster, or what are you on Twitter? What's your tag?
Yeah, you can find me maybe under Vonster, but it's Rise Again with some weird underscores or whatever. So
Okay.
Hopefully you find me on Twitter, okay? And Von's Haunted Castle on YouTube. You can see me inking my recent cover for Rerun Man. I am going to draw my own book at some point and just not give a damn. Just have fun. I don't care how flawed. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect. I'm not some pro, but
You're going to do it.
No, I can. I have to do it. I have to. It would be. I don't care if it's. I almost want it to be a flawed, more of a punk rock book. It's almost like I'm tired of doing such clean, perfect, awesome everything books. I want to do something like out of a. I want to do a garage rock album. That's what
Yeah. I was like, man, it did remind me a little bit of like that messier-ish style of some manga books that are just like, here's the hatching, bro. You want the hatching? You want this grunge? There you go.
You want some, yeah, grimy. I mean, just how I ink. I think it's just how I naturally grind.
Dude.
So, hope people check it out.
We need your books. We really need your books. So I really hope that everyone out there supports. The description to your channel is also or your link to your channels in the description.
Thank you.
And so anybody else who wants to go check it out, go for it. Give them a sub. And give them a like, those tasty likes. And yeah, guys, I'll see you guys probably in a video. I'm watching, like I said, this AI talk type of reaction video this week. And yeah, we'll see you next time for another interview on Good Company. Peace out, everybody.